Vivek is not going out and debating prominent left-wing politicians. Vivek is going out. You want to get back to our Hamas story. You want to get back to the real nature of journalism. Vivek is going out and he's attacking the most notable and prominent opposition leaders of all in the United States, namely the left-wing media.
That language, they live like vermin. Do you believe that that is, as your Republican colleague Chris Christie has said, neo-Nazi rhetoric?
This is a classic mainstream media move. Pick some individual phrase of Donald Trump, focus on literally that word without actually interrogating the substance of what's at issue.
The word was chosen for a reason.
We are in the middle of a cultural war in this country.
Well, you know what? It's
actually describing a series of behaviors. You have Antifa and other related groups that have been burning down cities for the last 3 years in this country.
Would you describe them as vermin?
Wildly violating the rule of law. We have an invasion on our southern border. We have millions of people crossing our southern border. Let's talk about the substance of why we have to recognize that we're not in ordinary times.
Would you use that language yourself?
The vocabulary of the vermin or not is not what's important. Well, I haven't used that language. So you can look at my track record on the campaign trail. I talk about the issues. We all talk about them differently. But what I'm not going to do is play some game of focusing on some word that somebody else said without ignoring entirely the substance of what we're actually talking about. A border crisis of historic proportion. Economic stagnation we haven't seen in 50 years. A national identity crisis and the loss of national pride in the next generation that's potentially existential for this country. Let's talk about our dependence on China. Today we're actually talking about Xi Jinping, picking on Donald Trump's word vermin to talk about that status quo. You know what's vermin? What's running around San Francisco on a given day before Gavin Newsom cleaned it up on a dime to roll out the red carpet for Xi Jinping. If he could do that for Xi Jinping, he could have done it on an ordinary day.
This is a good strategy. This is what we want to see. We want to see our candidates own the libs. Look at Milei down in Argentina. Javier Milei, who is an economist, he's a professor. But Javier Milei is also a TV personality. Javier Milei is also a guy with a silly haircut, a guy who dances up on stage. And what does he do? He gives these interviews where he just belligerently attacks the left and people gobble it up. That's what we want to see. And I don't think that's necessarily wrong or base. The libs run the show. They run every institution. They've run them into the ground. They obviously despise us. They express their contempt for us at every turn. And so, yeah, we want to see some conservatives give it right back to them. And what's the most effective way to do that? You could do it by debating the governor of California. It'll probably be a pretty good debate. But the way you're most likely going to get that minute clip that goes viral is in one of these exchanges online. So I think Vivek is very sharp. He's a very strong candidate, especially for having virtually zero name recognition before he entered the race. The question now is, can he close the gap? I don't really think there are enough CNN hits in the world for that alone to be what closes the gap. But it could serve him pretty well in the race, and especially if Trump does end up being the nominee, it could position him well for a cabinet position or something else. Or if Trump is out of the race, he might even have a shot at the title. Right now, go to genucel.com/Knowles. I've got a Christmas gift idea that is sure to make you the hero of the season. We all know that the holidays get a little hectic. The shopping, the cooking, the never-ending list of things to do. Well, fear not, because I've discovered a gift that is not just thoughtful, it's downright transformative. That is the gift of Genucel skincare. From now until Christmas, Genucel's most popular package has a special discount just for our listeners at genucel.com/Knowles. Treat yourself and your loved ones to the absolute best skincare in the world. Those troubling forehead wrinkles, fine lines, skin redness, and yes, even a sagging jawline will disappear right before your eyes with Genucel's most popular collection. Genucel promises immediate effects. You'll see results in less than 12 hours, guaranteed, or your money back. Genucel made Christmas come early this year. They sent down a ton of products for our office, and everyone looks way hotter now than they did before. Simply the best out there. Go check out Genucel. You deserve to look and feel your best this season. Go to genucel.com/Knowles to get this incredible Christmas discount. Every order today is instantly upgraded to free express shipping. Genucel.com/Knowles, Knowles today. Meanwhile, Trump says we got to end all this. Trump tweets out, or he doesn't tweet it out. He truths it out. He says, Great polls just released. Best ever. Harvard Harris Trump 67%. DeSanctimonious 9%. Bird Brain 8%. Is that Haley? Sorry, I've been a little behind on my Trump nicknames this cycle. Bird Brain is 8%. Ramaswamy 5%. Christie dead in the water, a total loser. Interesting. Ramaswamy and Christie don't, even Christie, who Trump doesn't seem to like very much, they don't get nicknames, though Trump does call Christie a total loser, dead in the water. Trump up 7 to 10% on crooked Joe Biden. RNC must save money on lowest ever ratings debates. Use it against the Democrats to stop the steal. If not, revamp the RNC now. That last line is the key here. Because Ronna McDaniel, who runs the Republican National Committee, only has a job today because Donald Trump is willing to allow her to keep that post. Virtually every other candidate's calling for her to step down. And major GOP figures and major conservative movement figures are calling for her to step down. Trump so far has said, well, she can keep her job maybe. But if she doesn't end these debates, maybe we got to revamp the whole thing. And let's say you hate Donald Trump. As you know, I don't hate Donald Trump. I rather like the man. But let's say you just hate the guy, or let's say you don't hate the guy, but you just don't want him to be the nominee again, or however you feel. Can you really disagree with him on this point that the debates serve no other purpose than to waste time and money, resources that could be spent fighting the Democrats? Can you really disagree with that point? You might say, well, the voters have a right to hear the candidates debate. Yeah, maybe. The voters don't seem to care because Trump's refusal to show up has not hurt him in the polls. If anything, his polls have gone up. Well, sure, but it's disrespectful to the voters. Yeah, again, the voters don't seem to feel that disrespect. They don't seem to care at all. Well, I just think we ought to have more debates. Why? Because that's what we have done in the past. Yeah, in the past, we haven't had primaries like this. This is a totally different primary because for the first time in 100 years, you have a candidate who was the president running for a non-consecutive second term. So it's totally different. You can't say, well, that's what we did in 2008. So what's the point? You might hate him. You might hate Donald Trump for being right about this point. But I don't think that anyone seriously can deny that he is right here. There's no... If the debates were going to change the momentum of the race, wouldn't they have done that in the first 3 debates? But the momentum of the race has not changed at all, in the slightest. Look back at the RCP, Real Clear Politics polling average. So not even just 1 poll or 2 polls, but the average of all the polls weighted in a pretty serious way, going back all the way to the very start of this campaign, what was it, 15, 16 months ago? Nothing has changed at all. Candidate goes up a little blip, goes down a little blip. That's it. So what's the point? And if they don't cut this out, I mean, I'm not going to go so far as to call for the RNC chairman to step down, but if you're Ronna McDaniel right now, you've got to take this very seriously. I do not blame the RNC chairman for any disappointments that may have occurred in recent election cycles. I think it's cheap and easy to blame the head of the RNC. I don't think the head of the RNC matters all that much. I think the candidates matter. I think the timing matters. I think the way that the elections are conducted, whether it's hackable electronic voting machines or paper ballots, I think that matters. I don't really think whoever sits as the chairman of the RNC does all that much. But if you're Ronna McDaniel and your only prominent defender right now is saying, hey, lady, shape up or you're out, you probably got to take that pretty seriously. Man, what a great clip that was now. Hey, come on, Jack. Come on, man. Ring that bell. Subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. See you next time.